2 more series to go here for the Intel Extreme Masters Bracket 4, and that will conclude all of our qualifiers through these open brackets and completely figure out who is going to be in the round of 24. Ooh, this is a new one. As we do have on the desk, we have Tasteless, we have Artosis, and we have Pig. Gentlemen, we have PvP coming up. It's going to be Harstem going up against Neeb, and realistically, this should be a very good PvP between 2 very good PvP players traditionally.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great match because Disruptors, they're new, they've changed. Harstem just showed they were pretty awesome in the match. Wasn't quite able to take down Trap before, but a very close series. And what's really cool about the interaction between the 2 players, if we think of when Neeb beat Trap, actually another guy, to win the Casper Cup.
That's true.
You know, a big, huge, historic victory. It was off the back of him bringing Disruptors back into the meta when everyone was playing charge lots at the time. And I think that's just so cool because the units come back, it's changed up a bit. We've got 2 players that love this unit, and I think this is a good chance to see how it's going to interact in the new meta.
That's a really interesting point, but I do want to point out as well that Harstem, I think, is always on the very cutting edge of the metagame. I've always viewed him as such, and I think it's very true. He watches all the Korean games and studies them, what they're doing, things like that. And even during the meta of Disruptors, like Harstem was one of the first guys to start switching into Void Rays, which actually became overpowered eventually and had to get nerfed for PvP specifically. So, I mean, it's a great PvP match between these 2.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, and Pig, you brought up a great point, which is the fact that Neeb basically built his now illustrious career off the back of Protoss versus Protoss. Tasteless, when we saw it over at the Casper Cup, nobody could believe what was happening when Neeb was able to take that victory, and it was at Protoss, Protoss, after Protoss, after Protoss, after Protoss, after Protoss.
It was pretty incredible. The fact that he managed to do that over and over and really make history. That was the first time in... How many years had it been since then? Since a foreigner had won?
Oh man, it was like 2000 or so.
1 or something.
2000.
2000.
Is it girl? Yeah.
He actually managed to completely change history.
Yes.
In that moment. So that tells you he has a good foundation, even when he's going up against the very best of the best.
Right, yeah, definitely. This looks like it's going to be a good match then, and then obviously one of these players will get a pretty good warm-up between themselves to then eventually go up against Patience. If you had to kind of look at this match though, when I think about it, I took a little bit of a look at the past results that these guys have had between one another. Harstem hasn't beaten Neeb in a series since April 2016. And there have been multiple series during 2016 and then a little bit beyond where he's just lost, basically. So that's not exactly the biggest confidence boost, I suppose, for Harstem coming into this.
It isn't, but I kind of feel like Harstem's got a bit of a new win to him, right?
Seems that way.
Yeah, so far in this tournament, I think Harstem has looked better than Neeb.
Okay.
From the games that I've seen, at least, watching a bunch of them up here, Harstem has looked really, 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 really good. Like, he's only lost to Trap, who right now is one of the best Protoss in the world, and that was a close one. So,
well, we're about to find out if Harstem can continue that momentum here at the Intel Extreme Masters. It's time to go over to the commentary team to find out who's going to win this PvP so they can play another PvP.
G'day guys, PvP Mania for the rest of Bracket 4, and main eye with me is Rotterdam, and we are going to see a nice tidy bracket between Harstem and Neeb. Thoughts on this series, Roddy?
I'm excited, and I think it's one that's very hard to call. I agree with the boys on the desk. It's going to be close. Obviously, it's going to be close in this phase in the tournament. I think Harstem looked good in his PvP, but the last game he did fall apart a little bit because he actually got himself in a good position. I think he could have even ended it very early if he wanted to, but even in the later stages, he was in a good position, but he was outmaneuvered. And if you get outmaneuvered against Trap in a Disruptor war, well, then I'm not sure if you really want to go into Disruptor versus Disruptor if Neeb decides to do that as well, because this man, I mean, he built his legacy of the Disruptor.
Yeah, Casper went down because of the Disruptor meta that this guy utilized the top left from Ting, the North American Protoss. This is Neeb!
I think that's the first time we see Neeb on stage today, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, actually.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, I did catch his game against Cass earlier today, no?
And the bottom right from Asterion, the Dutch Protoss. This is Harstem. Cracking these tunes, as always, getting him focused and ready, because he has got a rough series ahead of him. It's not going to be a pushover by any means. It's the multiple-time WCS champion we're looking at. Wow, fast wall-off here from Harstem.
All right, in PvP, okay. This is actually something that's quite uncommon. He's actually going to go Nexus first.
The Madman.
Did someone give in a memo that Neeb is actually a Protoss player?
This is a PvZ build here from Harstem so far.
Yes.
You know, generally it's the 2 gateways on the high ground, which is what Neeb's doing right now.
Now, with shield batteries, it is possible to hold almost any sort of early aggression. The problem is that if Neeb would scout this very early, there are some really bizarre things that Neeb could do. Let's say, like, he could proxy a Stargate, then you can have 2 oracles pressuring the main base, and you can have a 3-gate aggression on the low ground. And then I don't really care how many shield batteries you have. You just don't have the amount of units to actually properly defend in both places. I am so curious to see what good old Alex decides to do the moment he spots this. Now, some people might think, can't you just go 2 adepts and kill him? There's a good chance that Harstem is going to have a full wall up by the time that the full adepts show up. But Neeb scouts it right now, and Maynard, I am very, very curious.
He's probably scratching his head a little bit here. I mean, obviously not literally, because his hands are on the keyboard and he's a pro gamer.
That's another probe. Okay, he's not.
All right.
He's not letting him get away with this.
No, I think this might be it might be getting a fast outside pylon and start putting some pressure onto Harstem here.
Or imagine if he takes the gold. That would be so bizarre. Neeb.
No.
I think he's gonna take the gold.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, this is so weird, guys. What a way to respond against the Nexus first of Harstem. He's gonna get a Stargate as well, so this could potentially... I don't think it's likely that Harstem actually decides to go for a Stargate here. Stargates are good in PvP, but if you go Nexus first, it means late Gateway, it means late Cybercore, it means late Stargate, but he gets the Stargate, and it's actually not that much later than the Stargate of Neeb. I would say on paper this is actually then good for Harstem, because Harstem has a faster Nexus, and if it's Phoenix versus Phoenix, the only thing that truly matters is the amount of gas guys that you've got mining. He's doing this with 1 gate. What? It's not even a 2-gate opening by Harstem.
This is bizarre. This isn't something I've seen in PvP just yet, not at this level. And Harstem, of course, you know, this pylon dropping here to wall off the main of Neeb. So Neeb can't leave without getting rid of that pylon just yet.
Does Neeb know that Harstem is a Stargate? He doesn't, right?
No, not yet.
If Harstem scouted everything, so Harstem can just go for a Phoenix, and then this Oracle of Neeb is going to be borderline useless.
Yeah, Phoenix doesn't take very long at all to build. And we'll certainly be out before this Oracle is across the map for Neeb. A couple of depths shedding on in, but a pylon wall off. They are denied any vision here. They might get a probe if they want, but...
yeah, I think he will get 1 probe, because I don't think Harstem wants to cancel that pylon too early, because then the adepts could shade in. I think he will cancel it eventually, and I actually think that Neeb is going to end up losing an adept here. On paper, this is all so good for Harstem. What a bizarre opening here on Neon Violet. This is pretty much the last thing I would have ever predicted. A Nexus first into a 1-gate Stargate for Harstem, while Neeb is making an Oracle and taking the gold.
Yeah,
no, you should go. I actually think the longer you wait... Wow, he's so lucky that Harstem was not paying attention there. If Harstem chases that Oracle, you get absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that is true. Well, we see that Harstem again trying to be annoying here, blocking the expansion of Neeb. He probably still thinks that Neeb's one basing.
I mean, this is also sort of a scout. I don't think he... That's it finished. It's kind of weird, right? Because it's going to die 2 seconds later, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So does Neeb have 2 oracles? Can we confirm this? So, no, it's just a single oracle.
Yeah, he's not overcommitting to something that's going to get shut down super hard here by Harstem, as he is still pumping out Phoenixes back at home.
What a game, Maynard. What a game. These builds are so uncommon. This is not something we see very often at all. Now, Harstem will most likely follow this up with a robotics facility, because eventually, A, you need detection, and B, you need immortals in case you get Blink Stalker all in. And it's important for us to keep a close look on the... I mean, especially the probe count of Neeb, but perhaps where he decides to spend his chrono boost as well. If he decides to start chrono boosting out Blink in, let's say, the next 20 to 30 seconds, there's a big chance that he decides to be very, very aggressive.
He is making some Stalkers just in case to defend that mineral line, as the Phoenixes can just dart on in, lift up a bunch of probes and wreck them.
You know, the nice thing that Neeb has done in this game, Maynard, is that Harstem knows there is a Stargate. So Harstem is afraid that he might potentially lose a Phoenix battle on the other side of the map, so that's why he's staying at home. And B is like, wait a minute, if he actually went Oracle instead of Stargate, then I need to keep my Phoenixes at home, because, you know, if the Oracle flies in, I want to be able to kill it. Right. But obviously, if Phoenixes are at home, you're not doing the economic damages that Phoenixes can normally do for yourself.
And Phoenixes are his only way of dealing with the Oracle right now, as Harstem hasn't really got much of an army that shoots up at the moment. Going up in a Forge and looking to transition a little bit. Actually, these Stalkers get spotted by Harstem's Shade forward.
No, I think now Harstem is going to be very afraid to actually send out his Phoenixes to do eco damage, because then he doesn't have anything at home. He kind of needs those Phoenix to defend at home. He is going to have a couple of Immortals. The shield battery should keep him safe, but I think Harstem is a little bit worried because his first Immortal's not here yet. So he's like, let's just get a second battery and perhaps even 3 batteries for now to make sure I just don't die here.
There's a lot of Stalkers for Neeb, but there's a lot of Phoenixes here for Harstem. Can they turn the tail of this battle here? Neeb with a lot more on the ground, Harstem with a lot more in the sky, and he has Blink as well.
Neeb can always recall. Neeb can always recall if things get a little bit too dicey, but for now he wants to stay aggressive. He gets the kill there. This wall-off is sort of working against Harstem, right? This makes it really awkward for his units and his Phoenix to fight at the same time.
And a good chunk of his production and tech is here as well.
You don't want to lose the Cybercore in this phase in the game.
Absolutely not. Means there's Adepts or all those Stalkers are a lot more handy than Zealots at this point. The Immortals are almost more important than both of them at this point, as he's no way he's going to catch up with these Stalker numbers right here for Neeb as he continues his pressure. The Cybercore is going to go down.
Yeah, well done. I mean, that's 2 gateways in the Cybercore for really not much at all. He even killed one of the Stalkers of Harstem. Harstem is rebuilding those gates. He needs to rebuild his Cybercore as well. Otherwise, he can never really continue to develop his tech. He will not be able to get +2, for instance. And I don't think he has any upgrades of the...
Well, unless
I just wonder, like, if Harstem feels happy with this. He has not done a single bit of economic damage with his Phoenix. This is the first time he's going to scout. At least there's a lot of energy on these Phoenixes, so he should be able to get...
Oh, one's going to go down. Looks like it. Yeah, picks one off there. He's going to come in the main and have a look here and also see that there's a 3rd base for Neeb as well. Oh no, the Phoenix has just deflected.
That Blink is not ready in time. The biggest problem is, though, it's a lot harder for Phoenix to do that economic damage that I mentioned. Once Blink is out already, Neeb has handled this in such a funny, brilliant way. I have never seen a PvP like this, but I love it from Neeb's side.
Looks like Harstem's going to probably push into Disruptor play here. Knowing that he has his Phoenixes, there's no way that Neeb's going to be able to catch him in the Phoenix count, so we can't lift those Disruptors out of the battle. So they're pretty safe to rule the ground here.
Look at the probe count.
Yeah,
12
Neeb has an insane economy.
Yeah, and he's got the gold. It's not just that he's 12 to 16 workers ahead. He's got the gold base as well.
Yeah, he's super far ahead in economy here, is it reflected here in the income graph. But Harstem's going to try and make it work. He does have a pretty powerful, beefy army, but Neeb's got a very high mobility army and plenty of numbers.
But Neeb also has charge almost ready as well, and I think the moment that he wipes in a bunch of charge loads, I'm not sure if Harstem's army is really capable of dealing with it. The only thing he has is good against charge loads is Phoenixes, but I think he simply doesn't have the numbers.
Recalls here. Neeb's going to pick off, looks like maybe one of those Phoenixes before he gets that recall there. And Charge Lot's really shut down a good number of Immortals here. The Immortals are fantastic against Stalkers, but Charge Lot's minced them to pieces. Harstem's trying to go up to 3rd Nexus, but Neeb looking like he's going to put the aggressive pants on with a lot more production and a lot more units.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way that Harstem saves his Nexus, right? I mean, he's going to use the Phoenixes to lift a couple of these Zealots, but Neeb simply has too much. He has way more. Another forward Blink there, actually quite close to the shield batteries now, so Neeb has to be a little bit careful there. But this Nexus has been cancelled. Pylon goes down as well, and Neeb is just taking an overwhelming lead in this game.
Absolutely. Like, if Neeb wants to continue the pressure here, he can. Because honestly, he can lose this army and still be fine. Like, he's denied the 3rd base of Harstem, and he has so much more production back at home.
Yeah, the Phoenix is getting picked off as well. That's actually very nice for Neeb because, whoa, 13 workers went down during all of this. I know quite a few probes were long distance mining, but that's a few more than I thought were going down.
Well, Harstem's pumping out these Disruptors, and it looks like Neeb's actually dropping a couple Stargates back at home. And he's getting double Forge upgrades, which isn't always something you see in PvP either. But that's, generally there's one Forge spinning, not double.
Look at his main. Is this like Computer Insane who's cheating and has got way too much money? Like, he's just getting everything at once. This is just crazy. He got the Robo, got the double Forge. I think Neeb looked at this like, well, if you want to go Disruptor, I can do my own Disruptors, but in a weird way, this could go terribly wrong, even though I'm really far ahead. I can outproduce you so badly that no matter how bad the fight will be that I take with Phoenixes,
oh my God,
I'm going to have so many Phoenixes that there is nothing you can do.
Look at that advantage there for Neeb. He is just going to try and overwhelm the Phoenix numbers and lift up these Disruptors. Stasis Ward actually catching some of Harstem's army, and Neeb moves out through the squares to engage, but this is actually a little bit dicey. Yeah, a little dicey for Neeb to engage inside the squares. He wants that open ground. The charge lots are really a lot more effective when they can wrap around this army.
I mean, the army of Harstem simply is not very big, and now a lot of his units are frozen up as well. Is there a Warp Prism here or something? Like, is Harstem really doing this without any way to reinforce this push? Then it's basically do or die at this point. I really think that Harstem kind of needs to win the game right here, right now. And if that doesn't work, I think that's all he wrote in game number 1.
And I think that might be it here. The Disruptor's getting lifted out. One of the Purification Novas landing, but way too many overabundance of units here of Neeb, and Harstem just doesn't have any firepower. GG. And a little bit of swear words there from Harstem at the end.
I have no idea what I just watched. That is one of the weirdest PvPs that I've seen in a long time that was played on a very high level. Neeb is Oracle as well. He just kept it at home for so long. But that's such a brilliant play, because if Neeb actually loses that Oracle, right, I would have just gone for it in the beginning and be like, well, at least get a few probes, right? That's all I can do. But keeping the Oracle safe meant that Harstem had to respect the potential of 2 Oracles flying into his base. He didn't know it was only 1, right? He's like, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to try to harass with my Phoenix, then the Oracles show up, and I'm going to lose way more probes. So all the Phoenixes stay at home, and by the time that he ever thought about harassing with his Phoenix, Neeb's got Blink already. That Oracle did so much while not doing anything at all.
It felt like that game was all Neeb. From like, as soon as he saw that Nexus, he made every single correct decision after that. I don't even remember a thing that went well for Harstem in that game, honestly.
No, I mean, other than the fact that he had a faster Nexus, right? But he wasn't really able to do much with it. Neeb showing some really, really sick game sense there and some brilliant understanding of, I would say, especially the economic part of a PvP in an odd scenario. That's just, what a game.
He's a 3-time WCS champion. A lot of the people have expected him to keep that caliber of play, and maybe there's been a dip here and there, some results that we haven't expected, but he is certainly showing that he has that caliber here in Katowice. And we're getting a game came to pretty quickly here.
If you guys wonder what happened to Neeb, why is he in the lower bracket? Neeb started off the tournament by beating Kaz in the round of 16 of this bracket, but then he lost against Hurricane, which in a way is kind of ironic, right? Because Hurricane is also the player that knocked him out of the GSL qualifiers one day. And that was the time when Neeb was really hot and everybody thought that he was going to make it to Kodas. And everyone was even saying like maybe he can go all the way, maybe at least quarterfinals, you know? But back then Hurricane was the one that stopped the dreams of Neeb of qualifying for Kodas, and now Hurricane stopped him again in this bracket.
Yeah, well, there still is the capability inside this man on camera right now to take it out of Neeb. You know, he showed that his PvP is pretty amazing. Earlier series of the day, but I got to say I'm nervous for him after game 1. That was.
No, it felt almost he got lost in his own build, right? It really felt that Harstem made it so confusing that he himself got quite confused. It just felt like it wasn't really going anywhere for him.
And he hasn't done it in any of the other games yet that he's played PvP. That's something maybe he specifically had for Neeb, maybe trying to bamboozle him a little bit here, but did not work out in the end. We'll see how he does in this game.
Wow.
The top right spawn here from Ting and North America. This is Neeb.
I'm saying wow, Maynard, because we have loaded into Eastwatch, and that's not necessarily the second map that I expected for this best of 3.
It's a little odd, but we are going to go underway here in the bottom left. This is Harstem.
Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with Eastwatch. It's actually a pretty fun map, and it creates really fun games, but okay. Neeb is like, all right, we're going to do this Nexus first thing? Really, Maynard? Have I missed a memo in the last hour or something?
Yeah, I think the PvP meta changed between Harstem's winner bracket game and the losers bracket, I think, like in the middle of that.
I mean, on Eastwatch, I could maybe sort of get behind it. I mean, I've seen it before on Neon Violet as well, but not on this level. I've seen it on the ladder a couple times, and a few guys that think they have a cute build. But, you know, these guys at this level with this much at stake, going Nexus first in PvP, I mean, on Eastwatch, at least there is a ramp going into the natural, right? On Neon Violet Square, you can get high ground vision if you come via the right side, and that really complicates things a little bit, because that means that you don't have to eat 3 shots before you start shooting at the wall of your opponent. Well, you know, ball's in the other corner. Let's see how Harstem decides to deal with the Nexus first.
Yeah, switching gears here. A double gate from Harstem, just like Neeb did game 1, and a Nexus first from Neeb. Well, not a Nexus first, actually. I think it was a Gateway first, then Nexus.
No, Nexus first,
was
for sure.
it?
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Oh, damn. So, literally just a switch over. It's crazy.
Yeah.
At least this time he's doing it with 2 gateways instead of 1. I think Harstem was on 1 for a lot longer.
1 gate fast expand. Well, Nexus first into 1 gate Stargate. It's like, all right, you know, we're playing PvZ with a wall over here. It's like, no, it's just a PvP at the highest level in the foreign scene. Okay. So now I'm really curious to see what Harstem decides to do, because Harstem just did this, right? Like, technically, Harstem could do the exact same thing that Neeb just did, because Eastwatch has a gold base as well. So, you know, that would be really funny if he decides to do that, but I think he might just take his natural.
Well, he hasn't scouted just yet, so... Oh. Uh-oh.
Maynard, he's so close. What? No. Come on.
Oh, man.
my God.
Proxy tech here from Harstem.
What do you think? Maybe a gate and a Stargate? Or just a gate? Or just a Stargate? Or a Robo? No.
No, Stargate here from
And
Harstem.
he could still potentially get a gateway there as well for the rep.
Oh my god, with shield
Is he gonna,
battery?
is he gonna
Void
do
Ray?
the Void Ray thing in
A
PvP?
Void Ray?
Oh, now the Zealot is gonna scout as well. Are you kidding me, Maynard? What are we watching?
This is like not PvP.
No, this is... They're doing all these builds that we know from different matchups. I mean, we know the Void Ray rush in PvT on
Yeah,
Neon Violet.
this is a Terran build here.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, Void
All
Rays
right.
charged up against Stalkers are pretty good, right? Prismatic alignment.
And they're not bloody bad.
Where's that Zealot? Come on, Neeb is getting so unlucky with his scouting. How is he just missing everything up to this point?
Well, he's going to see it now as he hits on the other side of that brush here.
Gateway as
Hello,
well.
Proxy Pylon.
And now he's going to see the gateway too, and that's going to complicate things a little bit. At least he knows there's no Nexus. Obviously, Neeb had a feeling that this might happen. A Robo against Void Rays. This basically means that Neeb needs to keep all of his Stalkers alive, because if he runs low on Stalkers, he's not going to have an answer against the Void Rays.
Well, he does have 4 Stalkers versus a 3 here of Harstem, and one of his Stalkers is already damaged. Neeb's moving forward to his units, picks up one of the Stalkers. That one gets, just saved there by that shield battery. Harstem is losing his units, though.
And he killed the probe, which means no extra pylon, which means that those shield batteries are not actually powered. But Harstem can sort of win this Stalker skirmish, and I think trading Stalkers is really good for Harstem because of this Void Ray. But now Neeb's got shield batteries on the high ground as well. Oh, Harstem needs a probe, he needs a pylon there.
The probe's just coming out now, but it might be a little bit late for Harstem. We'll see how far he can go here with this proxy now. Stalker's starting to press the issue. They're already so low in hit points. Yes, they can come back to the shield batteries, but there's some high health and more Stalker numbers here for Neeb. Void Ray is not too bad against Stalkers, but
I think this is so good for Neeb now.
Yeah.
Killing that pylon while that skirmish was going on was massive. He got the pylon, he got the probe. Now he knows exactly what he's going up against. He's got all these shield batteries as well. The Void Ray is going to try to do some work. One of the Stalkers trapped there. Prismatic alignment. This is the moment for Harstem.
here we go. Can it make the difference? He's starting to burn through the Stalker numbers here of Neeb. They're just out of range of that shield battery. You got 1 energy shield battery here at the back, and Neeb is actually forced to make a second one here, or a 4th one actually in total.
That force, actually there's a sentry being wiped in. That means if Neeb ever leaves that wall again, he's going to get force fielded out. Now the cybernetics core is going to take a lot of damage, and that's the only anti-air that Neeb has in a way, right? Like he needs that cyber core. So losing the cyber core is a very big deal. Now he
more
can only wipe in
Stalkers.
Zealots and Immortals. He doesn't have enough anti-air.
Zealot's not super great against Void Rays, and they are continuing to take away more and more structures here for Neeb. Gateway goes down, there's an Immortal here. Again, Immortals don't shoot up either. So this is getting from bad to worse here for the American Protoss.
Can he keep the Stalkers alive to somehow kill the Void Rays of Harstem?
Oh, there's a force field. He does catch 1 Stalker and a Sentry here, but doesn't quite have the DPS to get rid of them. Harstem starting to repower. He's got this shield battery right in Neeb's face now.
This is a battle of
This is
shield
wild.
batteries on both sides. This reminds me of the Warcraft 3 fight near a healing fountain. They never end, Maynard.
Now there's the force field he was looking for. Prismatic alignment of the Void Rays. The Immortal goes down. And that looks like it's almost over here for Neeb. Harstem is starting to break through a little bit.
Well, I mean, the Cybercore has finished up though, so Neeb can actually start whopping in a couple of Stalkers again, and the Zealots were very annoying. 1 Void Ray!
Oh, it's so low!
Not go down!
Shield battery's out of energy here. The Void Ray does get taken out. Oh!
The second one, too.
Oh! Neeb gets the second Void Ray.
What a ult!
The Dream is staying alive here.
And he's got 2 extra gates finishing up as well, so soon Neeb is going to be able to warp in 4 units at once, and he's still chilling near 5 shield batteries.
All these shield batteries at the front for Harstem are actually out of energy now, Roddy. It's all up to whatever he has here now.
Oh, he's pulling probes. I don't think he has to. You're kind of fine, Neeb. You need that economic lead, I feel, with your 4 gates.
Oh, man. This is so tense. It feels like Neeb's starting to stabilize a little bit, though.
He's
His shield
on
batteries
5
are actually out of
gates.
energy as well. He has so much more production.
But does he,
Oh.
can he spend it though? Does he really have the money for it? He shouldn't go too far away. He's going to go back to his shield batteries again. He gets that Void Ray. That means no more high ground vision for Harstem.
And no more Void Rays for Harstem either. It's too much.
Wow.
GG, what a hold from Neeb. And he gets himself a 2-0 over the Dutch Protoss.
That was a bizarre
Oh my
game.
God.
What a weird PvP we just watched, but that was really awesome. What a weird fight there in the end. Really back and forth. The start was great for Neeb, but then at one point, when he lost the Cybercore, he lost the gateway, you start sweating it a little bit. But he didn't underreact when it came to the shield batteries, Maynard.
Man, that didn't look like PvP. I don't know what that was, but I liked it. Rotterdam.
That was the
fun.
4th matchup.
That was fun. That was the 4th matchup, that's right. Unannounced 4th race here in StarCraft 2 being shown on stage. And that means we are going to have Neeb going up in the next best of 3.
Versus Patience.
Versus Patience.
Isn't that a rematch of BlizzCon 2016? Didn't they have the Decider match back then?
Oh god, my memory's being stretched here. You're the encyclopedia, you have to tell me.
All right, well, I know it happened, but maybe it was either Neeb or Deer, one of those Korean Protoses. Either way, that was awesome to watch. That means we've got one more best of 3 coming up for you guys. We're gonna head over to a very small break, and after that, we'll be back with Smix and Neeb.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2018. We just saw a Protoss versus Protoss between Neeb and Harstem, and Neeb takes him down 2-0. So first of all, congratulations, Neeb. That was a really interesting PvP. We saw Rotterdam going absolutely crazy as he was commentating. I want to jump right into talking about the games. Let's start with Game 1. We saw Harstem open Nexus first, which is pretty unorthodox. So what were your thoughts when you saw that he did that?
I was really surprised that he went Nexus first. I'd never seen that build before, especially where he only went one gateway, and he only made the second gateway to fully wall off. So that was really weird. I kind of just didn't know what to do, so I didn't think I could break him if he played correctly because he followed my probe with a probe, so I couldn't proxy buildings close to him. So I just took the gold, and from there, like, I don't know, I got really far ahead. Like, I think he must have thought I was all-inning or like committing to Phoenix or something, but yeah, I was just really far ahead from there.
And then going into Game 2 was also a crazy situation. It felt like Harstem was going to break you a few times. Did you also get nervous that he would, or were you confident you could hold?
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've defended the proxy Void Ray, because it's like the default response to Nexus first, is to get the Void Ray and shield batteries as close to their ramp as possible. I think it went really good for me because I made the Zealot and scouted everywhere, although I missed the proxy. Like, he didn't have a very close proxy. Like, his Stargate wasn't like at the bottom of my ramp or anything. And then I killed the first two batteries, which is very important. Like, I probably wouldn't have held it if I hadn't killed those. I also made a robe and a battery in my main, which you shouldn't do versus Void Ray proxy, but I just didn't know what it was because I was scouting and I didn't see anything.
Well, luckily, like you said, you were still able to hold. And prior to this interview, you were telling me you think PvP is a little bit weird, and your next matchup is again another PvP. It's Patience, who you last played all the way back in 2016 at the WCS Global Finals group stage. Back then, you were able to defeat him, so I know it's been a while. Do you think you can defeat him this time as well?
I'm not sure, really. Like, I'm not as good at PvP anymore as I used to be. And Patience is a pretty crazy player, so I don't know what to expect.
Well, I think we can expect a pretty interesting series nonetheless. Best of luck. I'm hoping that we'll see some really good games coming up soon, as it is going to be the last match of the day for Bracket 4. James, back to you.
Thank you, Smix. Indeed, we have Neeb advancing on to play against Patience here in our final series. And I think that rightly said there in the interview, a bit of a crazy series, kind of very, very back and forth with how the builds actually shaped up. I mean, were you guys as surprised as maybe Neeb was about that Nexus first at start, and then even the flip reverse of the second game, I should say, to then have that build be counteracted in a similar fashion?
Oh, I thought it was super cool that Neeb not only killed the Nexus first, but then Nexus first and won. It was... it felt like he was goofing a bit, but just the fact that you held that with like that sick micro and taking down the pylon and all that, I'm literal god tasteless.
I concur. Honestly, that was such a nail biter of a game in game number 2. We were all gathered around the preview monitor trying to figure, okay, is this actually going to work? Like it was such a close fight, and it's kind of cool to see how Neeb unpacks what went down in that rush. And we were even talking about the fact that there was that second, or the shield batteries being targeted at moments, and we thought, does he want to go for the army here? There's no pylon, but it's cool to see him explain that, okay, no, you actually have to get rid of those shield batteries, or it snowballs and you end up losing to the rush, even if they're not powered at that time.
It's interesting to note that, when we heard from, whilst the interview was going on, that Neeb said in that Game 2 pig that the Stargate was not exactly down his ramp, so it made it a bit easier. That Stargate was still really, really close. So these are the min-max things that he's considering when having a Nexus first opener going up against that. And then also the Zealots were able to do so much for him after lost to Cybernetics core.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a close nail-biter game there. And it was the probe, it almost scouted it, didn't quite see it, which, of course, I'm not sure if Neeb even knew exactly where the Stargate was there at the end of that game. But hats off to Neeb. Part of the evolution as a player was him not just doing the same standard build every game, but about a year ago, he actually started practicing freestyle, encountering odd situations and adapting.
Right.
That's what we saw here. He adapted to situations he'd never encountered, and he played it very well.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, as we are going to go to a short... Oh, no, we're not going to a short break. I told a lie. We're going to check out the bracket and get you up to speed. We do have Trap and Hurricane from bracket number 4 getting through, and now Patience versus Neeb will be our last remaining opportunity for a player to get through to the round of 24. Whilst we're still here, though, I should remind you that at the end of the broadcast, we will be revealing our round of 24 groups, which is very, very exciting to say the least. And so far, 8 Protoss, 8 Zerg, 8 Terran. David Kim for Where Art Thou? That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty sick. You can't ask for a better lineup than that as far as everything being distributed the way it is.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, one final series here for the open brackets of the Intel Extreme Masters.